Okay, got that going. All right, should be live now, so I'm gonna grab some of those YouTube links for the video. See here. Copy and paste those respective links. And yeah, it should be good now, I guess. All right, so just wait for people to hop in, I guess. Let's see here. We don't want that old folder, new folder. This is just signals registration. I can just call it signals. It's probably good enough.
Yeah, I can't play games anymore.
What?
The fuck is going on in my background? Hang on.
All right. All right. Let's see here. Signals. All right. I think that's all I can do for now, I guess. We'll wait for some people to join up and yeah, see how that goes. Give it like 5 minutes or so since we officially start at 9, I guess. I guess I can start working on some of the basic contract implementations though. So this is a basic contract. Just say register, because that's what we're doing. We'll do owner for the contract, which will be in this case an address. We'll do a dev address, and we'll do a NGU amount. NGU AMT sounds good. Got a U256. Bam, bam. NGU amount, and then we want the NGU price, which is also U256. This should give us everything we need, which will now give us kind of that burn value too. I don't know what the percentage take we're doing on burns versus what we get in the 777 NGU, and then I know we're taking, I want to say 97%, no, 93% of something. I think we're burning 7%. I don't know if that's still the case with registration. I'll have to look into that real quick. But general principle is NGU price, NGU amount, dev owner. Standard stuff, I guess. Get some events here. That'll be for the node implementation. So get an Excalidraw set up too, so I can explain some of these concepts, I guess. Feel free to type in chat if you guys can hear me or not. I don't know if that'll be the case, but we'll find out. Probably give it a few more minutes maybe, and then I'll just start going crazy because not many people join these. Oh, okay. So let's see here. So yeah. So fee collection looks something like this on the NGU platform. 7% goes to, we get that 777 NGU in green, at which point I think part of this is burned to my knowledge. I don't know if that's the latest on that or not, but part of that's burned. The other part is put back towards the marketing / dev funds, I think. Yeah. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna execute an event. So in this case, we're gonna use a contract for this. So let's see here. In this case, it's just using a contract on a lithium. So mark that as the lithium contract. Oop. You'll notice I'm on Windows right now, and normal development for me is typically on Mac, but 7% burn on current signal fees, correct. Cannot connect to DevStream and Discord. Stream cannot connect to DevStream on Discord yet, but YouTube is good. Yeah, it's just on YouTube, Elvis. Just on YouTube. I've tried doing it on Discord too, and it's just too many sound. I guess I could actually do it on Discord too, I guess. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up. In the DevStream chat. So I've started that event here, and then, yep, it says one in audience. I guess I can share multiple screens now. We'll do that, I guess. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Let's see here. I need to restart my Discord real quick, and then that should be good. All right, let's see here. So now I can share that screen at 1080p, 60 frames a second for better text readability. All right, so that's live on Discord as well, so you guys can hear me and whatnot, and it's on the audience too, so YouTube should be good. Yeah, so basically what's going to happen is that we'll take that 7% burn and we'll make a function for it. So I'll mark into place for some error codes. Basically just stuff like if the contract doesn't perform properly or somebody doesn't enter in the right amount, I can get a better debug log of, you know, why it was that they didn't satisfy the contract's requirements. And those are emitted at the wallet point or whatever you're using, right? It'll tell you, like, you know, why the transaction couldn't go through. I think everyone's probably gotten an error at some point. And then we have some public functions. These right here aren't super important, but they're just there. And then we have actual contract functions, at which point that's kind of like the main thing right here. So let's see here. For error codes, we just do an enum because that's how the Ralph documentation explains it for lithium, but you can use other numbers besides enums. So use some error codes here. And I believe that's in brackets, but to be sure, I'm going to check. That's a script. Error codes, yeah, brackets, cool. Syntax does take some getting used to, I will admit. When you jump around between a lot of languages, syntax is always just different amounts. Alright, so that'll be marked as an invalid amount on 0. Otherwise, we can do invalid caller. Usually like the two most common cases. And obviously I don't know how you would stop duplicate registrations, right? So like if somebody registers twice, unless we're storing that on the contract level, or maybe on even the front end, you know, if you're a dev, you'd obviously still be able to get to the back end as long as you knew what the contract ID was. But yeah, duplication on that side would have to be strictly front end, and if we did end up receiving those funds, we'd have to have a way to end up being able to recompensate people for the funds that they put back in, or vice versa. So that would be an argument against doing a direct burn within the contract, just in case someone sends you know, 777 NGU twice rather than only doing it, you know, once. So for that, yeah, for that we're just making a contract. This is that contract that we're making. And we can execute this burn contract. Actually, this will be registration contract. So we'll just call it contract registration, because that's what you're effectively going to be doing. And then from here, on contract registration, any of the funds that we do get, as far as NGU goes into a little kind of, you know, contract container, I guess is what I'm going to call it. Every contract has access to its own assets that it can hold. And in this case, NGU is one of those assets that this contract will be able to have and just be able to use, right? To an audience now. Pop back over to the dev stream. I need to see if there's questions here. I think, oh, yeah, okay, cool. So now I can see okay, cool. So if there's any questions, I can see them in the dev stream now. Anyways, yeah, so NGU is kind of going to be that contract asset that the contract registration is going to hold, and that contract registration is this contract here, right? And so the argument against burning is that we can do this burn separately, right? And we're able to display all this either via the contract or via a node emit, really. But we can use our burn contract, which I made yesterday. It looks something like this, basically. Main thing is this burn token function call right here. That will allow the caller to basically insert tokens, and then the contract executes the burn. At which point we have this right here, and we can burn that using this contract here. Yeah, so if there's any questions, be sure to answer them. So yeah, so we get that 93% NGU total over here, and then we get that 7% burn over here on this side. So all good stuff. Question, is this only the burn contract? No, this is multiple contracts, right? So we've got contract registration, basically. So this is going to be how you register for signals. I'll just use this shape. This is going to be how you register for signals, and then I'll just do this. And then once you register for signals, we're going to execute that via an Lithium contract emitting a node event. So we're going to, you know, emit event on the blockchain, basically saying, hey, user, you know, address defined. And then, okay, so this is actually where the website comes into kind of like a big portion of the play here, which is that this is kind of the template site that I've been working on, right? And obviously there's a home page, a my profile, a charts, a trade battle, and a burn. This is just an emoji. but we can always change it to burn as it is. But really what it is that you're able to see your own profile, which on your profile, there'll be things like, trade battles, pin charts, and in this case, your subscription status, right? So from there, we can kind of display, how long you have left on your subscription status based on a database. So in this case, we will be using probably, Planet Scale is pretty good for their databases, and that's just using simple SQL. And I think I've written a few things in SQL. If my GitHub is signed in here, I'll try to show you guys kind of how that works real quick. Probably just make me sign in with GitHub. Yeah, okay. So I can wake this database up. And I've got multiple tables in here, obviously. And so for that reason, I don't use enough of it for it to be good enough to be just for my own projects. So basically, you can just have as many tables as you want. But once this loads up, I'll be able to demonstrate kind of how you can look at those tables and how we can kind of build up an SQL function for that. So let's see here. I should make a contract or a folder for SQL because that is kind of key as well. That rhymed. Basically, this will be a registration .sql, and so for here we're going to be using simple SQL calls. If you guys are familiar with SQL, it's probably a really basic programming, I don't call it a language per se, but definitive programming language, programming language by definition, I guess. But yeah, we use this event right here, and basically this burn calls, it gets a receiving address. Do you need an API? Oh, sorry, another question from the fix question. Do you need an API and Oracle for the charts? How do you program to show real time? Well, I'm guessing that there's a trading view. I'm guessing trading view is what we're using, just because that's what I've been seeing in terms of what we have been using. And with this, I believe they have API calls. So yeah, I believe they have API calls, and we can use those to get effectively the charts. So it looks like we got here API references. Let's see here. That did not load up a page at all. Yeah, we'll just use the APIs from TradingView, and that'll basically be how we get that data real time. There's probably a little bit of a delay there, but if you're trade battling somebody, I assume that the point is to look for like the better play, right? So in that sense, you'd only have, we'll do like two different ones. So trade battle will also be its own little thing, right? And these trade battles, right, I think a lot of people think that we're like using Lithium contracts on chain to be the only on chain aspect of this is the P2P side, right? And so connecting Lithium contracts with oracles is really difficult, but if we're taking in those funds and then we're connecting them to an SDK, and that SDK is talking to these TradingView APIs, and it's, divvying out funds where they need to be sent, then you're really effectively creating, I think, a really, solid system. And, everything on crypto is based on trust, right? And so kind of that same mindset is that with NGU, we're trying to build, this connection with the community. And I think Elvis could probably give more information really on that, but it's really just making sure that, we're divvying out burn or we're divvying out liquidity tokens at lock times. Those got divvied out literally the day right after launch, and so everybody has those. And now we're deep in development right now, trying to push out concrete utilities for you guys to use, and just kind of be able to use those utilities to like scale your presence, not only for NGU as itself, but also for lithium as a whole. And yeah, I think that's probably like the best way I can possibly describe it. So yeah. All right. So let's go and look at some of those. Let's see if this database is woken up yet. Cool. So what we can do is we can click on show tables, and this just shows like all the tables that I have, right? And for this instance, we'd be making a new table. And so if we want to look at like a previous table that I have, we can look at a table for swaps and kind of see what that looks like. But basically we're catching like an address from the event, right? So that's no different than what we're doing here. We're fetching who burned. In this case, we're fetching how much they burned, and we're fetching when they burned as a blockchain timestamp in milliseconds. And so for that reason, we're able to get that data and then push it to this DB via the node, right? So we get this data on contract registration. This emits an event, and then the node picks it up in the cloud, because all events on the blockchain are synced to the node. And so we're just looking for particular event emissions. And in this case, the node is one of those. Let's see here. Yes. So then, yeah, the node picks up that data, and then that data from the node is then correlated to its relevant branches on the actual website, right? So we're taking that data back from the node, and it's going back to the website. But effectively, we're making sure that before anything actually is processed, it's all going through on the blockchain level, which makes it so that way we don't get people who are scruffing the system, right? It's only going to emit events if you do, the whole contract all the way through, right? So you have the 707 NGU, and you're actually putting it into the contract, and you're actually, signing yourself up for that signals call. And then once we have that, we're getting the blockchain timestamp too as a marker, as an event. And then from there, it's just simple milliseconds every month, right? And we're counting down, and we're waiting for people's contracts for NGU to expire, basically, and then waiting for those resubscriptions, when they do run out. So yeah. NGU is built to scale both tech-wise and community-wise. Very, very true. There's a lot of development that goes on behind the scenes, but, marketing is kind of a key component here as well. If we didn't market what we were building, and we didn't have Elvis making the charts in the first place and being able to push those out there, then there really wouldn't be much of a actual signals concept there. And luckily we have signals in the sense that they're not only, I think all of them are curated by actual users and minds who trade on a daily basis, but I think there's probably a few built-in betting contracts. That's a good question. So betting contracts on chain is probably the same concept, really. And I don't know exactly what you mean by betting. I mean, if we're doing a whole like heads or tails thing, then yeah, we could definitely set that up, I think, relatively easy. The problem really right now is that block time for lithium is extremely not high per se, but we're really trying to target that 16-second block time. And once we get that block time, we'll be able to push transactions through a lot faster, and thus in the process be able to deliver content back to the user a lot faster as well. So betting on a trader to win a battle versus another trader. Okay, so it's like a secret bet, basically. Okay, so basically for that implementation, we'd probably be changing the trade battle contract. And so the trade battle contract being the fact that it's not data that's necessarily on chain, and we're going to have kind of like an Oracle system, I guess you could say. We'll push all that data to the node, and then the contract will then indeed, with bet prize pool, paying out the winner of the bets. Okay, so that's basically just simple ratios, right? If someone's betting, on one side or the other side, then potentially bets could almost be nothing, I guess, if nobody bets on the other side and whether or not it's a good trade. So yeah, same concept though, really. Pushing all that to a node, getting all that, taking that in as a fund, and then the SDK is checking who ends up winning that contract at the end. We could always do milliseconds, I suppose, and for many cases, I guess what we could do is we could have it set up so we're inputting those assets into the actual contract, and then once they're in the contract, we can actually send we'd end up sending a signal from a developer SDK address, basically pushing another contract to push those funds where they need to be. So theoretically, yes. What we could do is we could have, I think multiple people in there would be kind of hard to feed out all the actual funds, but if we're doing it strictly on an event basis, I think that becomes much, much easier. So, yeah, definitely easy, I think, as long as we're scaling a Lithium in ways that I think it seems proper to scale. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, cool. So yeah, a lot of this goes through the node, and that's kind of how a lot of this stuff gets done, right? There's, kind of looking at this site here, when you buy, number go up. When you sell, number go up. And when you do nothing, number go up. We have that link to actually AN swap too. That's just a simple href type stuff. Charts obviously doesn't go anywhere yet. Profile is not built out yet. Trade battle is not built. Burn is built, but for some reason I don't have the page linked. Yeah, trade battles will be epic. You're absolutely right. I don't know anything about trading myself personally, and so just to speak back on that Elvis comment on how it's both tech wise and community wise. You definitely need a community to make these systems work right. There's a lot that you can do on chain. I think gaming and DeFi is kind of like one of those spaces with swaps and whatnot. But I see those as relatively basic implementations, right? You're just crossing value from one place to another, no real logic involved. And so now that we're adding additional logic that's in the actual real world and we're getting that real world data, we're having to take contracts on Lithium one step further, and actually using the SDK in combination with a massive influx of contracts and bets going in all at the same time. And so in that sense, having scalable servers and scalable tech makes sense. So it's what a lot of my work is going to be tomorrow. Most of my day was occupied with my dentist appointment, which all checked out well. But most of my work tomorrow will be on working on a lot of that contract-based flow, cleaning up basically how these websites look. So yeah, we definitely, pretty much everything is built out that we need. Tomorrow is definitely the day where we can get an actual burn set up, and if you want to, you'll be able to burn your own NGU of whatever amount you want. Obviously, we'll be putting disclaimers on how by burning NGU, you're burning your ticket to the Rocket Club, as per se they call it. And so for that, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing there. All right. Can't think if there's any other questions. Question from Cue the Music. We'll see what he says, and then we'll get back to writing some more contracts, as well as, I guess what people's thoughts are on NGU as a whole, right? Also here to listen and learn. I really appreciate what you are doing. Oh yeah, for sure. Um, I don't really have much of a career right now, just because I'm going to school in my uh, priority time, I guess. Basically, many months out of the year. But I do appreciate having some downtime and being able to use my programming in ways that actually helps people. Whether it is, I wouldn't say that trade betting necessarily is helping people, but it's providing a service for people. And it's giving a new look at DeFi and what finance looks like on Alpha as a whole. And there's definitely a lot of money there to be had, both on the development side and the user side, and even just as a whole ecosystem. NGU benefits every other project on Lithium, because it's a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug. It's you get on NGU, and then you get on AN, and then you get on ALPHpacas, or you get on Dead Rare, and boom, you've kind of accumulated yourself through the through the ecosystem. It's a good gateway drug, though. Good gateway drug. Yeah, so from Elvis, we got, if NGU goes where I think it's going, you'll have all the smart contract work you could ever want, for sure. My databases class I took out at uni this semester really helped out with that, and so that's where I learned a lot of my SQL from. And so yeah, so it's not programming necessarily that I would have done in class, but it's definitely good to be able to keep continuing to use these skills and improve them as time goes on. So that is definitely a good thing for sure. We do have one comment from YouTube, just says poker table NGU. He is pumped. He is pumped for NGU, as is most people. So yeah. Any alpha on Paca development? Good question. Good question. So since we're at like 9:30, I'll kind of shift myself over to Paca development now, and I'll load up that site. Let's see here, Control C, terminate that job. And now I gotta do some GitHub polling. Recently just built out a full new system actually for my computer, and so basically I got a what was it, 7900 XTX and a 13700K, and it's definitely a machine in all sorts of different ways. Definitely looking to dual boot Linux on it and whatnot, so should be cool. All right. All right, cool. So I'll get the terminal pulled up here too, and I can kind of demo everything that we're working on here as well. Plans for Tamagotchi functionality on Paca NFT. Yeah, so I think both me and Reed are kind of on the same tune or the same beat. I don't know if he's as critical in design as I am. I think I'm probably a little bit more critical of myself and how I want these to be. Assigning value to NFTs is really hard for me, and it's because I've been a part of a lot of NFT projects, and a lot of them have gone kind of like absolutely nowhere, right? And I say that there's like the utility side of NFTs, and there's like the community side, and for me, I only really get a lot of value from utility myself. And so I think the truth is that there's kind of a mix, like a solid mix you need to have for that community and utility balance, where there's actually utility involved and a community, backing that utility up and making it actually useful utility. And so for Tamagotchi functionality on Paca NFTs, it would make sense to put a food stamp timer on there, and if you don't feed it, your NFT just gets burned. that that would be bad, I think, and not very productive. But kind of the plan is for now, and this is just kind of some alpha, right? A little bit tidbit news and kind of what I've been kind of brainstorming over the past week or so after finals is finished, and will continue to really hit hard now that I've kind of got some full weeks on my hand and got some serious time to develop, right? But I think gaming is kind of the key where this utility lies, right? And Tamagotchi functionality on even like a mini hardware device would be really cool. It's probably a ways out, but it would be really cool. For right now, the main plan is to develop a game on a browser, and from there, we're going to be leveraging my pixel art skills as well as some game development concepts, and we're going to be trying to scale a game that is not only play to earn, but it's also fun to play. And in that sense, you'll be earning while playing and you won't even notice it. It's kind of the same logic behind why a person would play, Apex Legends or Fortnite or any of those other games. They play it because they want to have fun, right? And I'm not playing Fortnite because they're giving out money. And I think even if Fortnite were giving out money, I don't think if the game weren't good, people would play it. And so in that sense, if the game isn't good and people are still playing it, then the economy for the token or the economy for the play to earn doesn't go up in value. It actually goes down in value. And gamified utility to an NFT. Yeah, that Tamagotchi approach is a really interesting one. And in that sense, I think I wanted to use ALPHpacas as a actual identity. So you minting an ALPHpaca will give you a unique identity on the actual chain. So far, my concept for this is going to have to be a lot more traits on the art side, but I think if I, put together enough traits and enough attributes and all those together, I think what I could have is people will be able to mint, 3 or 4K ALPHpacas, and those ALPHpacas will be able to be assigned, an identity. And we can leverage Paca utility such as, I'll pull it up right now actually, npm dev. So we'll pull that up. Yeah, I need to work on the CSS here. This is not going to scale as I wanted it to. Yeah. Basically, we're going to scale kind of everything that's going to be on ALPHpacas as a whole. And, so loans, DeFi swaps, your successful swap rating score, how many swaps you've completed successfully. And then people will be able to, pull up your actual ID and be able to see, is this a lender that I'd be comfortable loaning with? Is this somebody that I think is going to be, paying back their loan, or am I just going to get stuck with the collateral, right? And so when ALPHpaca Dex, I think AN is doing a good job with the Dex service, and I don't think the token price is doing super well right now, and I won't comment much on why I think that is, just because I would kind of maybe put myself in waters kind of unknown. But I think that I'll say this. I think that any develop on a lithium that's unique and innovative and is definitely showing of a really high level of prior thinking will be rewarded very, very well in terms of its token price. And so if you implement basic things and you expect to get high results, you're asking kind of the moon, right? And so for that reason, if we were only going to implement stuff that had already been seen before on other chains, then we're really not bringing any actual value back to Lithium as a whole, and we might as well just go back to ETH where it is. Yeah, but yeah. So the fix says users probably need secondary options down the line, 100%. And here's kind of where that comes in, right? If I wanted to start a DEX, I could start one tomorrow. It wouldn't be hard. I mean, they'd probably take a little bit longer than tomorrow, obviously, but I could start the initial setups for a DEX tomorrow. The most tedious part is probably the JS and the node side of things, but shit, if I don't get, charts and whatnot, then it's probably a much easier process. But all a DEX is contracts, right? It's contracts and nodes picking up on those contracts, and it's, that's what it is. All those contracts for ANDEX are completely open source. So yeah, in that sense, if somebody wanted to do exactly what they were doing, then somebody could do it tomorrow, right? But people continue to use ANDEX because ANDEX is, building on that trust value, and they're doing what I think is pretty solid work in the DEX space. I think there's probably more that could be done, and I know there's definitely probably more coming, but I think they're doing probably a pretty decent job in terms of running a DEX and, facilitating those types of operations. So pretty solid work, I think. But yeah, like you said, and like you guys agreed, there definitely needs to be some level of innovation. And if you're expecting basic functionality but big returns, you're kind of asking the world for something that's just not going to happen, right? So yeah, so kind of that identity concept with Pacas. Basically, we're gonna be taking that. I'll show kind of what I've been working on here, actually, just to give better alpha. So I got a lot of things in the works: DeFi, Paca scripts, etc. But you obviously have a NFT collection base, and so that's what all those contracts are. I have it as mint player right now. That'll give hints to people who kind of know what I'm talking about, as well as you have the actual base NFT contract. So this is actually where stuff gets interesting, right? And we can add values, and we can add, whether it's mutable or not. And in that sense, I think therein lies a lot of potential right here to do some really, really crazy stuff with NFTs. Allowing mutability on NFTs can open up a whole new world of things on Lithium that we have yet to even see yet, right? And so kind of that identity concept that I was saying, it would be like if you completed a swap and you had an NFT, and then you get kind of a redemption point to increase your rating towards your NFT. Man, that would be just huge, I think. And so, that can all be found probably in a My Profile page, and from there you can look at your identity and see your successful, background and whatnot. How many successful swaps has this person had? How many successful loans have they had? What's the total TVL that they currently have locked as of this moment? And in that way, we almost get closer to a social network, right? And that kind of jumps the gun, I guess, on a lot of things. So I won't go any farther than that because that's quite a leap, honestly. But it's that collection of data assigned to users where things really get really, really interesting. And so, yeah, that would definitely be something that I think NGU could even take advantage of as well. That would be something cool, I think. Sub to Ben's channel and give this legend a like. Or a link. I'd take a link too. A link to more Lithium content. But yeah, there's not many people that actually talk about Lithium in a developer sense, or just kind of the work that I'm doing right now. So in that sense, I think it's justified to have people who are just going to talk about development and not just go on about price charts for ALPH, right? Because at the end of the day, nobody really knows what's going to happen. We all know that ALPH is going to, we believe in ALPH's future, but we don't know when that future is. And obviously we have to just like anything, you have to see your investment generate returns over time. And so if we didn't have continuous people developing on ALPH as much as we did now, then there would probably be like a little bit more to be concerned about. And yeah, luckily we have, great minds at the top working in the core team, building awesome utilities. And yeah, it's really interesting, and it's really, really good stuff to see. And Chang is no fool to this space. He's been in it a very, very long time, and he knows that having too low a block time adds orphan blocks, and adding too slow a block time leads to the user experience not being quite as great. And so you have to be able to find a healthy balance between there and get what you believe is the best version of a lithium out of it, right? So yeah, mutable NFTs is something that I think is quite unique, and yeah, so we can add different things there. Chang equals Satoshi's dad, possibly, or Satoshi's son, if we're going off what every fork is of Bitcoin. Satoshi's vision, I don't really quite know what they're thinking with forks. I don't like forks. Forks of coins don't make any sense to me. It's just like, why, if the idea was that good, why not just make like a whole new coin? It's like, no, your idea was not that great. So yeah. And yeah, Lithium is built on its own smart contract programming language, and in that sense, it's very, very unique compared to the competition. So yeah, we have a burn on ALPHpaca site too that I was using strictly for Monty Coin, which is strictly called Tail. I don't know what's going on with Tail, and I don't have any alpha for you guys, even if I wanted alpha on Tail. So yeah, no real alpha on Tail there, but we do have a burn for Tail on the site. So that is something that you guys could use or do if you don't want your Tail anymore. So yeah, swaps, ICOs. I do a lot of ICOs for certain tokens on a Lithium, and I think that there's other chains that have had launch pads where early benefactors will get tokens at a cheaper price. I don't believe in that. I believe that everybody gets the token at the same price, right? And NGU is a prime example of that, because even early backers aren't getting the token at a cheaper price. They're getting locked LP, which we have no way of knowing where that will take them, where that will go. For now, it's small money, but in a year from now, we could be looking at big money. And in that sense, your tickets to the rocket have been locked in a countdown for at least 1 year. So that's just kind of the motto there. Lend RAL. Basically, this is lending. Paca loans, removing Paca, building new contracts. These contracts get quite complicated here. I haven't built out the loan one yet, but the pool loan is somewhat built out yet. Mostly just the lend contract here, which actually creates the loan contract. And from there, people will be able to see certain loans and be able to take part in that, and we'll be able to get a total TVL locked on Paca. So I think that's all very, very cool stuff. Man, I've been talking a lot. My voice is getting tired. Oh God. Okay. So yeah. Paca loans, DeFi, swaps, NFTs. Trying to think of what else. Definitely doing a lot of game development. Game development, I think, is a really, really hard space to be in, and I think a lot of people don't quite understand just how hard it is to develop a game, especially a game that people want to play and actually enjoy having fun playing. The first glimpse of that I actually got was actually on Ergo with Ergo Mummies. That game was like genuinely enjoyably fun. It wasn't complex. It wasn't anything hard, but it was definitely something where I think if it had been scaled properly, it could be really, really, really fun and definitely had something going for it. So I think I would definitely be targeting that type of style, that 2D pixel type style where you have your ALPHpaca character roaming around. That would just be awesome. Yeah, so I got some DBs in here too. This is just kind of the loan swaps, different things, right? And so you can see the SQL is basically just a definition language for all of these different things that we're going to be picking up on the event side. I think we're picking up those events here. Yep, event removed loan, event loan received. And so we're picking up who actually created the loan ID, the token amount, the token wanted, the token want amount, the funds, and then the end funds. I forget what those were. Funds, end funds. I forgot what I marked that as. I can look though. Funds, end funds. Oh, contract in alpha in contract, paca in contract. And so that's interesting. Oh, it's checking how much alpha we've generated in terms of fees. So that's what that's doing. But yeah, it's very, very cool stuff. And we've been going for about 50 minutes here. So hopefully I've answered kind of enough questions there on kind of NGU and what the development looks like. I would code more and talk less, but I feel like people probably don't just want to watch coding. They want to actually listen to this kind of like it's a podcast. So what do you envision an NGU user profile might look like? So yeah, profiles is an interesting concept, but it's not something that we're not exposed to. So basically when you use the connect wallet feature on a Lithium, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to enter in your wallet, and because we get that connection, we're going to be able to verify that as whoever's connected. And then that will allow you to go to your profile, edit things around. From there, that's all DB. So you basically just have the user enter in what they are, description for their profile or a name for their profile. And we upload that to a database. And then whenever the user or somebody searches up that address, they'll be able to see that person's information, but not able to change it because they don't have their wallet connected. So while it's not on-chain, it is protected by on-chain resources. So yeah, be able to see trade battles won, maybe be able to see their total P&L in terms of stuff that they have betted on. But generally, it'll probably look like I can probably do like a little mock-up example here. Looks something like this. Random, Alf looking profile picture type thing. Some line descriptions of, about them. And then you're just going to have, some stats here, right? So like stat 1, stat 2, stat 3, and so forth, right? So something like that is kind of what we'd be targeting there. And yeah, that can all be managed via, the web server and a database and tables. And yeah, not very, very hard to do, actually. Just a lot of that security is actually built on the functions themselves. So we'd be giving users full write access in the sense that they can push to the database, but we won't actually need anything else besides that. So yeah, very, very cool stuff. Does a Lithium NFT's implementation support composable tokens? I don't quite understand the question. Composable? Let me look up what that could mean. If you're asking if they so child tokens basically on a parent token is what I'm guessing you're talking about. And that's on ERC or Ethereum. Yeah, so composable tokens, that might be actually a question for Chang. You can make subcontracts in a lithium, and so I assume that there's some level of composability that you can get there with tokens. I don't know if it's probably the level you're looking for, and so uh, in that sense, maybe yeah, maybe ask Chang about that one. That one would be interesting though. I definitely think you can do something like it or pretty much exactly it. No, a lithium has no boundaries. It will do just about whatever any other chain can and will do in the future. A lithium can also implement. The implementation just looks different depending on every chain and what they decide to use as their scalability solution. So, yep, that's the alpha there. Unless we have any more questions, I will direct myself to the water bottle because I need to get a drink of water. So, yeah. Let's see here. Maybe one more question from Elvis before we head out. Any plans on building a launchpad standard for new tokens and projects? Oh, that's an interesting question. No particular launchpad per se. I have kind of a severe bias against people getting insider kind of prices and then dumping on the market to regular consumers. And so I like what NGU is doing because tokens are locked and the fate of those tokens is entirely up to people who buy now and within the next 345 350-ish days. I don't know how many days it is. But yeah, in that sense, your tokens could be in a year expire worthless or expire, a millionaire. That's the alpha there, I guess. Not much more you can do. The destiny is back in the community, and if you believe in the community and you put your efforts towards the community, then I'm sure that in a year from now you'll be happy with whatever your outcome looks like. So yeah, all right, it's about 9:55, about an hour long, and my voice is getting tired of talking, so I'll catch you guys in the next dev stream, which will be hopefully tomorrow night, with a lot more work done and be able to demonstrate hopefully some burning for NGU. So we'll burn some NGU live on stream potentially tomorrow, and yeah, that'll make everybody else's NGU worth more. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys